What is the hardest Hive game mode to get max level? You may think this is a simple question, but the answer is a lot more complicated than you think. You see, each Hive game mode has its own max level. The newer game modes such as Block Party and Gravity have a low level of 25, while other game modes like Death Run have a much higher level of 75. But two Hive game modes have their max levels as 100, crushing the other game modes, being Murder Mystery and Skywars. Now yes, these two games will obviously be the hardest games to max, but even then it's complicated naming which game is more difficult. Murder Mystery is by far the game that will take the most time because of the way XP scaling works. Each Hive game mode has a specific amount of XP you need to get to the next level, and it increases with each level. Most Hive game modes cap at level 52, while Murder Mysteries caps at level 82. This makes level 70 about 50% of the way to max in terms of XP, and when you're level 32, you are only about 10% of the way to max, meaning you have to do what you just did 9 more times. The quickest way to get XP is to kill people as a murderer, which puts pressure on performing well. Now, Murder Mystery's XP may change when the Micro Hub comes out due to the challenges they're adding, likely giving XP, but for now, Murder Mystery is a hassle to grind. But while Murder Mystery takes absolutely forever, maxing Skywars is a lot more difficult. With Murder Mystery, you can at least turn off your brain and grind levels. Skywars, you have to be focused and skilled at the game, and with Skywars players being so sweaty and running every single fight, in return it takes forever. They also recently added Prestiges, which as of the time of making this, only 2 people are Prestige 5. This is why the answer is so complicated. Skywars is so difficult to max, but Murder Mystery is difficult because of how much time you have to spend. Now, although these game modes are definitely the hardest to max, other game modes don't really stand a chance because their max levels aren't 100. So what if all Hive game modes max levels were the lowest level of 20? I did a video like this a few years back, but they added a ton of new games and changed the XP for the top spots like Build Battle and Ground Wars. This will be the fairest way to truly find out what the hardest Hive game mode to max is. But first, we need to talk about XP a little more. Each Hive game mode has different ways to get XP. For example, breaking a bed in Bed Wars gives you 15 XP, while killing someone in Skywars gives you 12 XP. Some games give less XP in relation to how much you have to play or the difficulty of the game. For example, winning a game of survival games is quite difficult and should give more than 30 XP. Each Hive game mode also has different amounts of XP needed to get to the next level, and that number increases within each level. For most Hive games, you need 150 XP to get to the next level, but in Death Run you need 200 XP, and in Hide and Seek you just need 100. In addition to this, each game's XP caps are different. Block Drop caps at level 22, Death Run at 42, Murder Mystery at 82, while every other Hive game mode caps at level 52. With this in mind, I ranked every single Hive game mode on how difficult they are to max. So before I go over the top 3 hardest game modes to max, let's go over what the easiest Hive game mode to max is. Just like my video from a few years back, Hide and Seek is still the easiest game mode to max. It makes sense because you can get crazy amount of XP fast, and the XP increment is the lowest out of any Hive game mode. Because of the AFK nature of the game, anyone can do it. You get 15 XP for each minute you survive, which is 75 XP if you survive to the end, and winning as a hider gives you 200 XP, which is by far the most XP you can get from winning. By spamming the llama balloon taunts every 50 seconds and using the 3-point taunts and one last llama balloon taunt near the end, you can easily get 105 XP per game. In the end, you can get close to 400 XP per game, which is huge. Now that we've gone over the easiest Hive game mode to max, let's go over the top 3 hardest game modes to max. Remember when I said that Murder Mystery and Skywars were the hardest games to max? Well, even if we isolate the first 20 levels, one of these game modes sneaks into the top 3, and the more difficult game mode and the third hardest game mode to max is Skywars. The thing with Murder Mystery is that it doesn't include much skill. You just have to play a lot and do well as a murderer to level up. Skywars, on the other hand, is absolutely horrible. Now, I think Skywars' XP is fine for the most part. It can be very slow at some points, but it's alright. However, the people that play this game are the worst. There's so many sweats, closet cheaters, and bladed cheaters that plague this game. And the worst part is there's not much you can do about it. Even if you're good at the game, they don't even let you win. They literally just run the whole game. I deeply explained my thoughts about Skywars in my video where I ranked all the Hive game modes, and my reason for disliking Skywars applies to how difficult it is to max. I hate when you're missing one piece of armor and you can't get it. Now this would be fine if diamond armor wasn't the most broken thing ever on the server. It's fine in Bed Wars because it's not luck based and you have to work to get it, while Skywars is heavily RNG based. This one thing alone makes most of my games feel unfair. These Hive emos spawn in with plot armor and then I die in 5 hits because I'm missing what, like a diamond helmet? That is absurd. So many people also run in this game. Like I hit somebody once and then they spend the whole game running a marathon. Or they make the whole entire Empire State Building clutching, like my guy, like stop, it's not that deep. I feel like it's too easy to make this game take long, and Hive has some really notorious maps for running. It's really hard to ignore whenever I play this game. But anyways, moving on. The second hardest game mode to max is the bridge. The bridge is such a painfully long game mode to max. It's not that it's difficult to actually win, but the fact that you have to play almost 1,000 games of this just to max is insane. Bridge XP used to be incredibly easy when it first came out, but they changed the XP curve so more XP is needed to get to the next level. Now you need 95,852 XP to max Bridge with level 20, which is crazy to me. Most Hive game modes require around 19,000 or 28,500 XP to reach level 20, but not Bridge, I guess. The Bridge's XP curve is really weird and I can't even explain how it works. Luckily, they probably won't add new levels to the Bridge when the XP scaling is so weird and unfair, and it's annoyingly inconsistent with every other game. It also doesn't help that you don't get much XP either. Kills give you 2 XP, scoring gives you 10 XP, winning gives you 15 XP, and you get an additional 5 XP for each point scored in duos. This means that the fastest way to level up in the Bridge is to win as fast as possible, which honestly makes this one of the most repetitive Hive game modes to max. And finally, the hardest game mode to max by far is survival games. The main reason why this game is by far the hardest game mode to max is because you get little XP in relation to how difficult and long survival games rounds are. Survival games maps are massive, and each round is prolonged by people running or struggling to find people without an activity tracker. Kills give you 10 XP, reaching deathmatch gives you 15 XP, unlocking a catch count gives you 5 XP, and winning gives you 30 XP. The XP isn't very great. If we compare this XP to other PvP game modes such as Skywars where you gain 40 XP for winning, assuming there aren't sweats that purposely stall out the game, Skywars games are a lot shorter and more rewarding. It's also easier to win a game of Skywars in comparison to survival games. If you're not very good at the game and you win every so often, leveling up in this game is painful, and even if you are good at the game and get a ton of kills each game, you still level up quite slowly. That's why this game is so difficult to max. Even if we're not looking at it if every Hive game mode had a max level of 20, survival games would still be one of the hardest game modes to max. So in conclusion, survival games is the most difficult game to max, even if we isolate the first 20 levels. But if we look at it in general, Skywars is the most difficult game to max. However, there's one last thing I want to add on, which will make things a lot more complicated again. If each Hive game mode had their max levels as 100, things would be a lot different. For one, because of XP caps, block drop would become one of the easiest game modes to max if they don't adjust the XP, since the XP cap is only at level 22. Meaning you only need 3,150 XP to get to the next level afterwards. And this continues all the way to level 100. 2, the hardest Hive game mode to max wouldn't be survival games or Skywars at all. It would actually be the Bridge because of Bridge's weird XP curve. I'm not exactly sure how to calculate it, but assuming an XP cap is introduced at level 52, the amount of XP needed to get to the next level would be massive. Even if an XP cap was introduced at level 22 to match block drop, needing more than 14,000 XP per level would be unreasonably difficult. And lastly, it's difficult predicting what they will do. They usually change the XP curves on new game releases if the curve doesn't match their expected leveling, but they most likely won't do it again. So what will truly happen when they update the Bridge or block drop? Is everyone's levels going to be adjusted, or will they heavily increase or decrease how much XP you get in both games? Either way, I guess the answer to what the hardest Hive game mode to max is truly a complicated question to answer, and that is up to your interpretation. Now click here to go see me rank every single Hive game mode.